So good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar on strategies to reduce total cost of ownership through managed services. So my name is Ibuka Izeji, and I'll be your anchor for today. And our in-house resource, Mr. Richard Obi, will be the one to take us through the strategies to reduce total cost of ownership through managed services. So we have a question icon at the top right corner of your screen, so in case you have questions to ask. And this webinar will just take 45 minutes, so we expect it to be engaging, and we hope to learn a lot from this webinar. The recordings of this webinar will be sent to you after the webinar, and we hope to engage you further. So I introduce Mr. Richard Obi to take us through the strategies to reduce total cost of ownership through managed services. Good morning, Mr. Richard.
Good morning, Ebuka. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Okay, I'm happy to have you guys here. Good morning, everyone. My name is Richard, as introduced. I'll be leading you guys through a journey of strategies to reduce total cost of ownership through managed services. I'll be leading you through to show the direct and indirect cost benefits. So you're welcome to this webinar. Signal Alliance is a diversified technology company providing ICT through cloud services advisory, enterprise, IT security, business application, data analytics, and managed services. We've been in business over 20 years, and we've helped so many companies grow and transform their IT operations. Another aspect of the business, not only IT operations. And we'll have our key strategic partner running around Microsoft, Cisco, CA Technologies, Checkpoint, and so many more. So you're welcome to be here today. I'll also be taking you through a journey to lead us through how managed services evolve over time, and why do we need to partner as managed services provider, and what benefits do we gain when we're using managed services to drive our IT operation and other aspects of the business. And we'll also make reference to other key case studies to show the indirect and direct costs around managed services. And we'll round up by looking at the Q&A session where we can ask questions and tie value to each other. So to the theme of what we're discussing today, as the team says, strategies to look at the total cost of ownership around managed services. But let's look at managed services. What is managed services all about? I'll pick the key underlining words there, which says is a contractual service level agreement that enables each businesses to focus on their core and strategic projects. And also it enables you to have some innovative talent acquisition process to deliver experienced technical hires who require special skill sets. Managed services also can be looked in different perspectives by providers based on the context of the business and also service provided. So what is obtainable in health sector may not be obtainable in manufacturing sector. And also if you are taking it to education, if you're taking it to technology, if you're taking it to pharmaceutical. So whatever that is obtainable when you are driving and signing your service level agreement with managed services provider, it depends on the context of which you are signing this contractual service level agreement. So I'll be taking you guys through a journey of how we started. We'll crave your indulgence to take us back where managed services started. And managed services started from IT infrastructure being managed entirely at on-site client premises. What I mean by on client side premises is where in our offices where when we're having issues with our computer, which is the first evolution, you call on technicians to look inwards to find out what the issues are. It could be issue of system not coming up. It could be issue of system not working properly and efficiently the way it should. So that's what led to the history of managed services, where technicians are being called on our own client premises to solve whatever computer issue we'll have. The next evolution is troubleshooting. Having migrated from the first evolution where we're looking at the technicians coming on board to look at our system and put in order an NFE, we migrated to the second era where troubleshooting was the in thing. In troubleshooting, even in the era of the troubleshooting, there were still so many issues being encountered where even the technologies on board that were being used by technicians were not matching the speed of technology, the speed of escalations, the speed of incident issues that were happening around that era. And that led to managed services being moved to where application service provider was the in thing on the third era of managed services. And during this era, there were still issues around how service level agreement is being met. And due to supply of multiple business needs, the model involved to look at cost and scalability, because it is very important that what we're discussing today is to look at how do we manage the indirect and direct costs of our businesses. So that led for us to move to cloud technologies. And in cloud technologies, the model evolved around software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. So for platform as a service, you are looking at application development. What do I mean by application development? I'm looking at likes of any software development, customization, business process optimization, automating all your workflows you have within the organization. And we're also looking at enterprise resource. We're looking at enterprise resource planning softwares that can also get your job better. Then if you're looking at software as a service, you're not looking at your emailing system. Days are gone where people are running on webmail. We're looking at Office 365 for you to integrate it to SharePoint and all that. So you look at the emailing system. Now you look at infrastructure as a service. Now infrastructure as a service, that's where we're rendering this full spectrum of your IT infrastructure, meaning you look at the likes of your hardware, the software, all the components that will make your business better. And we're looking at running it on-premise, on cloud. So we can say, okay, you will house this on-premise and you also will house it on the cloud. But how do we get the scalability and the cost to render this service better? So in a nutshell, this is how managed services evolved over time to see, taking it from the computer repairs where technicians will come in and try and help you to sort it out, and you are paying them a fee, taking it to the troubleshooting, where even when you are troubleshooting, you are not still getting the application and the systematic approach to resolve this issue that was happening on on-premise. Now, taking it to the application service provider, which was still more robust. As of 2005, that's where that emanation came to be, and taking it to cloud technologies. So why do we need to buy into managed services? Why do we need managed services? I'm going to be sharing a couple of few articulated things we'll put here to say, okay, these are the reasons why we need to key into managed services. The first on the list is operational cost. We're looking at indirect costs here. If everybody in every business, things like a salesman, things like a chief financial officer, which is very key, which touches down to the business bottom line. So if you look at operational cost, it is very key that any functions we manage today, the way the whole global world is running, people run it as a business. In HR, you run it as a business. In finance, you run it as a business. In sales, you run it as a business. in operation, you run it as a business. So if you are to call into monthly performance review or quarterly business review, you find out that when you are asked to show your indirect and direct cost analysis, tying it to your profit after tax or profit before tax, for you to show your net profit, what we're talking about here is the operational cost, which is the OPEX. So managed services, if you are to do a comparison, do a financial comparison, you find out that it will save you a whole lot of more costs when you are keen into managed services. So if you have 4 people delivering a job of 10 people, then you look at the costs, you look at the projects being managed by managed service provider, you find out that you stand at more edge in delivering that. So take, for instance, you have 4 people managing a project that will touch the bottom line of the business. And when you do look at the cost benefit analysis, you stand to gain more when you are using managed services. Then you look at the talent pool. There's a reason for talent pool to support managed services. In talent pool, you may not have the required skill set to take your business to that next level. And if you are signing on to managed service partners, you find out that they are creating more value, more process efficiency, and delivering at the service level agreed between both parties. So you stand to gain more. It could be expatriates, it could be under local content, using our local engineers to create this value that we're looking at. So talent pool is another good reason why you can key into managed services. There are new technologies, open source, existing technologies that can take you there. If you don't have the required skill set, if you are tapping into managed service providers to provide this skill set that you need to deliver your results, it creates more value. Now we look at quality assurance. If you're looking at quality assurance, you find out that you are looking at experienced service and you are looking at expected service. So if you are running on managed services, you find out that you will be looking at expected service because there's a service level agreement being signed here. So that will take me to the next one, where you need to be uptime, you need to be available, and you need to run efficiently as possible. So on the uptime and availability, most of the time you need to be running. The technology infrastructure end-to-end need to be running. No reason for any downtime. Uptime is on the other side. You being available to deliver superior value, assigning at SLA, it's also another one. Then the next key one is migration and staying ahead of technology. There's a need when you tap into managed services provider. Their job is to keep you ahead of you have a competitive edge because they're telling you this is where the technology is going, this is where not to go, this is end of life, this is end of support. All those analogies, they will give you a good technology advisory for you to know, okay, this is the time to move, this is the time to migrate, this is end of life, this is end of support, for you to move in line of your business. So the job of managed services here is to create a value to tell you, okay, if you tap into application development XYZ, take for instance SharePoint. So many people are having issue around how they do their document management. So many people are also having issue around the workflows they have within the environment. Rather than making it cumbersome, you can also tap into SharePoint to drill that to a minimal level that can drive your business to the next level. Then also in application development, you find out that we can also on managed services create a value by customizing the workflow that suits your business also. So that's to say, migrating and staying ahead of technology, using this tool will take it to the next level. Efficiency, there's no room for laxity. Managed services, because there's an SLA signed, will take off that burden off you and will create that right value for you to say, okay, hey guys, this is the right way to do that. This is not the right way to go. So we'll create this value. So I'll be taking you guys to some few questions. We want to have some few feedbacks from everybody listening to this webinar what are your thoughts around the pool that we want to ask? So the first one, we want to understand your knowledge around managed services. I want you to tell us what is your knowledge around managed services. We want to have a feel of what your knowledge are around managed services. We'll have 3 options there for us to choose. So what are your thoughts around managed services? So from the feedback we're having, you find out that we'll have 33% is having the basic knowledge around managed services, and 66% is having intermediate level around managed services. So with the feedback we're having shows that most people are having the basic, most people are having the intermediate level around what managed services are, and the basic level is 33%. So let's go to the next. So the next one is, what's your perception around the benefits you earn through managed services? What's your perception? We also have 3 options there. We want to have a feedback from you to say, okay, what's your perception around benefits you gain from managed services? Okay, so from what we have, you find out that it's very clear, 100% says service improvement. So just like I mentioned before, there's a need for us to cruise on expected service, not on experience. You can look at it from the both perspectives. So both on expected and experienced service, our service must be running 99.99% to 100% when you are on managed services. So from the feedback we have shows that for people to, or for organizations to key into managed service providing platform, they need service improvements to be optimal or at that height of good value to the business. So we also have few other benefits that we've gathered from while preparing for this webinar. Another benefit you can gain from managed services is you focusing on your core business. If you are using a managed services provider platform, it enables you to focus on your core business. The next one is operational costs. As I mentioned before, indirect and direct costs. So there are industry best practices which we've chosen. People are saying 10%. Feedback, we're having 15%, 25%. It depends on your projected reduction on your OPEX that you want to choose. But managed services does an average between, or reducing your costs on the average between 15 to 25%. If it does more, that's a huge net profit on your financial statement. Now, conserving your capital budget, because it's forecasted that, okay, in the next 2 years, this will be my OPEX. This will be my CAPEX. What I mean by OPEX is the operational expenses, the administrative expenses, and all that. The CAPEX, your capital expenditure you want to spend in terms of the fixed asset and all that. So if you are keen into managed services, it will help you manage those huge costs where you are looking at spending more in trying to keep the manpower happy, trying to replace in terms of turnover and all that. So it helps you manage those operational costs that you would have been bearing over time, that you've also done your focus analysis between 1 year to 5 years. So it conserves your capital budget. The next one is workforce competence. Now what it will help you do is exchange of knowledge, because you are tapping through the skill set you have to create a value for your business. So in every organization, you have likes of I know that I know, we'll have when you grading this competency level, you know those that are know, they deliver more. But when you have those that they know, they don't know, it's a very big problem within any organization you're working with. Then when you have those that are also in skill competency, when you also have those that I don't know that I know, it creates value for you to know that, okay, I need to move this person to the next level. So managed services, what it does is to create that skill set value and give you the required competence for them to be cruising that I know, and they deliver at the optimal level. The next one is competitive edge. It gives you an edge for you to be ahead of your competition. So if technology is moving, are you at the right place or the right pace of technology at that point? So it creates that value for you to be ahead of your peers or ahead of your competitors at any point in time. So managed services does that for you. In transforming your business and mitigating the risk that would have happened is also another good one managed services will create as a value to you for as a business. So it also does that. So we have some case studies just for us to give illustration when we're talking about the costs, the direct costs and indirect costs. What we mean by indirect costs, because as we go on, what will be lingering in our mind, where is this cost approaches and this cost savings? So we want to illustrate what we have here in the way we also serving few of the, we're picking just 3 sectors among the whole sectors we're serving. We're picking banking and financial, banking, financial services and insurance, public sector and manufacturing. We're picking banking, financial services and insurance because if you look at how we've done some cost savings, take for instance, we'll have some key financial industry which we are serving currently, where at the beginning of before they signed this managed service SLA with us as a company, they were doing 5 to 10% in terms of the operational costs. But what we have here, you find out that we've moved it for them to be doing 15 to 20% on the operational cost, which has saved them a whole lot of money. We can give an instances where in the e-banking platform of a renowned banking that we're serving on managed services as a provider, you find out that we are creating a reconciliation transaction tool for them, channel monitoring solution tool, which has, through our managed services provider talents that we are serving them with. What we did was to have our engineers on site that have created a channel monitoring and resolution tool that has saved bank a huge lot of money. That's the benefit of managed services we're talking about here, just to give a clear cut how you can save money. Then we also have service desk. We're talking about another renowned financial institution where they've been so many incident cases, so many escalation issues, and when you also check it before they sign us as a managed service provider partner, you find out that they were also doing below 10%. But because we've been able to deploy our engineers that are also deploy this service desk solution, that have also saved a renowned bank money to say, okay, they're doing at least 15 to 16% in cost savings. So that's another illustration to show managed services is truly working here. Then we're also talking about business solution and automation for another renowned bank we've also served, where we'll have our SharePoint developers have developed a key workflow. Before they signed us as a managed services provider, you find out that they were having issue with their workflow. So issue of downtime, they were losing money, people doing it when they want to do it. But when we deployed a SharePoint for a renowned bank, you find out that a cost savings have also gone to 14% from below 10% where they were before they signed us as a managed services provider. Then e-banking and mobile banking also. We also have POS monitoring, terminal monitoring tool. In terms of reconciling the merchant issue, we also have a renowned bank that we're having this issue before they sign us as a managed services provider, where we're looking at the cost savings that we can provide. And when we came in, we said, okay, channel monitoring and resolution tool can help you save a huge lot of cost. and we're looking at 18% will save them in terms of Naira and Kobo to prove, okay, this thing truly works from where they were. Now, the next one in public sector, we'll have also a renowned public sector ICT agency where we're serving as a managed services provider, where they were having issue having the technical competence to drive their emailing system, to drive their workflows. And we can tell you for free that when we keyed in, before we keyed in, the kind of huge direct and indirect costs that these public sector agencies that were accruing was more. And it was even far below 5%. But I can tell you, we're cruising between 12% and 15% in the operational savings. Now we'll have business process automation. We've been able to also automate for these government agencies for them to understand around their businesses, which is also another illustration to show the cost saving strategy we've been able to deploy through mining services. Then we also have manufacturing. We'll have a key player in the manufacturing industry that we've been able to create a stopgap. Some people will call it cost containment, some people will call it cost avoidance. If you are looking at cost containment, okay, I want to run within my budget over time. Avoidance over speculated time. So this key manufacturing player in the industry, we're having issue articulating with the vendors, the suppliers, and all that. And what did we do? Was they signed us as a managed services provider. Before then, there was a huge lot of money, downtime, people going to the bank to sort out so many issues. But we provided a vendor management solution. This vendor management solution was able to save a huge lot of costs for this manufacturing industry. And here we are today also. They can see a business intelligence, that's Power BI, we'll call it Power BI, Microsoft tool, to show on a dashboard, this is how the inflow in terms of money, Naira and Kobo, comes in, and in terms of outflow, for them to understand what happens in their business. So we're using these few illustrations to show how you can also apply it in your own environment. But what separates the issue here is the type of workflow you have on board. The infrastructure we're going to be deploying through managed services to save a huge cost if you are to key in through our managed services partner portfolio. Now we'll have areas we've been playing on application development where there's a manpower supply around developers, Java, PHP, .NET, C#, mobile, and BStock. We have competent hands that are running on that managed services product that can take your business to the next level. On that infrastructure, we'll have system support engineers, we'll have network engineers, we'll have network security engineers also. Under the network security engineers, we'll have top CCIEs that can take you on the advanced services to the next level. We also have managed security, where we have information security consultants, threat detection, security consultancy. We also have IT security consultancy. So we'll have some references. If you look across the key sectors we are serving, to drill down the types of technical consultants that are running under our managed services. If you look at banking, financial services, and insurance, you see likes of .NET developers, which are doing so well, working with so many banks currently as we speak. SharePoint developers, Java developers, service desk engineers, automation specialists, and infrastructure support. These are areas that we can hit our chest and say we've done so well, and we're also improving on that capacity to deliver the optimal service level agreement you have. Then on SMB, we'll have CRM, SharePoint developers, Navision developers, service desk engineers, automation specialists. We also have network infrastructure, oil and gas, SharePoint infrastructure, service desk engineers, process automation specialists. In telecoms, we also have CRM, service desk, SharePoint developers, infrastructure engineers, process automation specialists. And also in manufacturing, just as we mentioned before now, CRM, SharePoint, Navision developers, service desk engineers, and analytics for business intelligence too.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Richard. This was a very exciting and energetic webinar, I must say. But if you have questions to ask, so we have the question icon at the top right corner of the screen. You can ask questions. We're going to take questions, and hopefully we'll discuss all your questions. But so while my audience write the questions, I was going to ask you a question, my own question, and it says, so what's the future of managed services? So let's say 5 years from now, moving to the future, what do you think companies or businesses are more likely to see when it comes to managed services?
When it comes to managed services, we're looking at issue of disruptive technologies and robotics. Now, you see issue or likes of managed robotics. So that's likely what you're going to see in the next couple of years, where as a managed service provider, you are now having robotics delivering the same value that human beings would have been delivering. So if you have managed robotics that can remember what happened in so many years ago, and if you can also see virtual assistants and all that, such things will come up. You also see virtual CIOs or virtual robotics, right? So that's on one side of how disruptive technologies or managed services will come to bear in the next few years. Now, more robotic technologies that will deliver superior values will also come up. So infrastructure as a service is going to evolve to the next level, because here we are, now we're talking about disruptive technologies, we're talking about robotics. Another phase after robotics and disruptive technologies, the next level you are looking at. So what is that? I would say disruptive technology too that can deliver superior value is what you expect.
So now at Signal Alliance, what are the in-house competence, or what are the skill sets we built over time that give us an edge to play in this future you've talked about?
Yeah, our big business intelligence will have some smart, young, vibrant people in-house that even came in as an intern. So they came in as an intern, and we've moved them to that level to have that required skills, taking them even beyond Nigeria to the next level for them to learn and move and deliver at customer side. So if you take Power BI, that's business intelligence experts that will have, analytic experts will have in-house. It's been awesome. If you also look at the SharePoint experts and consultants will have, they've been awesome too. They deliver superior value. If you also look at network engineers we've had, and we also have some CCIEs among them. They've delivered so much.
Okay, so we have a question here that says, managed services is good, security is a concern. How do you mitigate risk exposure?
Okay, so I'll take it from this perspective. There's an SLA being signed. There's a non-disclosure being signed for the two parties to sit down together to say, hey, around what we're talking about here, security as a global, not even a national issue, how do we mitigate this risk? So in the clauses of the SLA we're going to sign, we're going to look at, okay, who bears what? So in Naira and Kobo, you have to look at the risk operational workflow for the business who are coming in to deliver. So what aspects are we going to say, you as managed services provider, we're holding you responsible if there's any downtime, if there's any downtime or security risk, we're holding you responsible. On your own side also, aside that, we're also looking at the robust infrastructure that will deliver that to reduce it to the barest minimal value so that there won't be any exposure. So if you look at the infrastructure tool for you to deliver that, where we'll have the IT consultants and robust IT solutions to deliver that, that's on one side. On the managed services agreement you are going to sign, we'll have to put it on paper and say, this is where we're going to hold you responsible. If there's anything, you're going to bear the loss. But the infrastructure tool will do more better. Of recent though, ransomware, the issue has trimmed down. If you look at what happened in the global ransomware, so if you are a managed service provider and you have the required skills to deliver, it's on you to ensure that those lapses is not there. And also, if you look at when I was trying to deliver the webinar where I mentioned being ahead of technology. So having a robust technology infrastructure will mitigate that risk.
Okay, and then you talked about service level agreement that also mitigate the risk. Okay, so thank you very much for that. So someone was asking if we can share the slides. So we're going to send you the webinar recordings after this webinar, and hopefully Mr. Richard can engage with us moving forward. So Mr. Richard can always tell us about how Signal Alliance can play a part in our businesses, and how we can help them achieve their bottom line through through managed services. So I think that's all we have for today. Our time is fast spent, but so how do we contact you? So we have the email address here and the phone number. To contact Mr. Richard, should in case you want Signal Alliance to come in for a discussion, or you have further questions, these are his contact details. And also on our website, signalalliance.com, you can see a lot about our product offerings and the recordings of other webinars we've had so far. We'll share this with you, and we'll also engage with you moving forward. So in the absence of further questions, I guess that's all we can take for today. So Mr. Richard, your last word.
Yeah, managed services will save you a whole lot of money in terms of your direct and indirect cost. So key into that, we'll trust that you're not going to regret signing to managed services providing solution we'll offer. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have two final poll questions. I forgot to take that, so here is it. What are your major takeouts from today's webinar? What are your major takeouts from today's webinar? So it says managed services can help organizations improve process efficiency, drive cost savings by using managed services, and all that. So okay, so we have 100%. Okay, so 33% says drive cost savings by using managed services. 80% says managed services can help the organization improve process efficiency. Okay, thanks for that. And on to the last poll question, which is, how will you rate this webinar session? Yeah, so this will help us interact better with you moving forward. So we have extremely helpful, very helpful, somewhat helpful, not helpful. So let us know how this webinar went. Okay, so we have 67% say it was extremely helpful, 17% say it's very helpful, and 70% say somewhat helpful. Our goal is moving forward, we can have a more interacting and engaging webinar session. Yeah, so we'll contact you. We'll contact you after now for more information and more details. Thank you very much for your time, and till we see again, do have a nice Friday, and bye bye.